Coming up on today's show.
My child is, so let's put an age. My child's 13, my child's 9, they should be able to do X.
We want to talk about some of the deeper subjects like, time management and responsibilities.
To be able to time manage on their own and be able to get homework done on their own or be able to remember everything they have to do is not necessarily going to happen, because how you're going to support and scaffold someone who's like 9 versus 13 is a big difference.
How to help your student own their time and responsibilities today on Keeping You Organized. Well, folks, it is back to school time, and when back to school time comes, we have to talk about those typical organizing things. But we're going to get a little deeper today. We are going to talk about time management. We're going to talk about how to get your student to own their responsibilities. This is going to be $1 million podcast, so we're going to bring the $1 million woman herself on, Leslie Josell, Order Out of Chaos. Leslie, how are you today?
I'm so happy to be here with you all.
Oh, that is great. Well, it seems like summer is a great time to talk to you because, back to school. And I know before we started the podcast, we both have students that have been graduating. There's so much going on. I mean, just to try to, get this podcast going is a major act, but we really want to talk about some deeper things. We're not going to talk about how to organize your lunchbox. That's a different podcast. We want to talk about some of the deeper subjects like, time management and responsibilities. Now, people come to you all the time. What's on their mind? What are they trying to solve?
Okay, so the first question I always get, and I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of like head bobs for everybody watching this going, oh my God, I ask that question to myself all the time. I get asked this question. And this is how it gets prefaced. My child is, so let's put an age. My child's 13, my child's 9, they should be able to do X. So there's this assumption that just because your child is 13, that they should be able to manage their homework on their own. Or my child's 9 and they should be able to get up in the morning. And what I tell parents all the time is you really have to focus on the brain and not the behavior. And what that means is what we've learned over the years, and is that time management or even, those executive functions, they're brain-based. And not every child develops at the same time. So if you have a child that is struggling with time management or struggling with organization or struggling even, with other things, their working memory or even processing, they might show up at a 30% less age than what they might be chronologically. And what I mean by that is you might have a 13-year-old at home who is all 13 and all their 13-ness, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I've had 4 of them.
They're 13 socially, they're 13 academically, they're 13 with sass, what do we call it? Spit and vinegar. But if they have time management issues, they're going to be 9. Right. So expecting that 9-year-old to be able to time manage on their own and be able to get homework done on their own or be able to remember everything they have to do is not necessarily going to happen, because how you're going to support and scaffold someone who's like 9 versus 13 is a big difference. So when I can present that mindset to parents first, it's the huge aha moment. They start looking at their student very differently and realizing I might be putting expectations on them that aren't really appropriate. And we do have to provide not only more support and more scaffolding, right, but there's more work to be done to try to teach them those skills.
So let's talk about that when someone meets for you for the first time. How do you diagnose that? How do you take and figure out that maybe it's time, or is time always involved with
time
it?
Seems well, I don't diagnose, but I take a lot of it as institutional history. You get a lot of information from parents. I hear what the teachers are saying. But I also talk to the student. And again, it's going to be different depending on the age of how much communication we're going to get from everybody. But yes, so what happens is I work with both the student and the parent, because I really feel that working for 15 minutes with a student to try to develop skills is not enough without the parent really building that foundation in the home to continue the work. So my tagline is always, we want to raise problem solvers and not direction followers. And here's what I mean by that. And I think everyone out there is going to relate. It's my story, really, is kind of where the light bulb went off. So when my kids were younger, my kids are now 18 and 22, very different. But when my kids were young and I would walk in the house, everybody would line up. Everyone, my son, my daughter, the dog, the babysitter, my husband virtually. And I would be the one going, Maddie, go get your dance shoes. You need to be at dance, and we need to be in the car in 10 minutes if you're going to be on time. Eli, go get your water bottle. You have fencing on, John's going to be here to pick you up. And the only person who was watching the clock and, was me. So what was happening is I was a major, major great problem solver, but I was raising expert direction followers.
Yeah. I have this vision of like the Sound of Music. You have the little whistle there, and they all come running down.
Yes, you have to know my house. Okay, you go there, you do this. But what are you raising? You're raising direction followers. No one is actually thinking about what it is that needs to be done. And what I teach parents is you have to start telling less and you have to start asking more. So you have to change your whole verbiage. And what will happen is your child will eventually start having mental checklists in their head. So not, do you have your key? So let's look at this. Child wakes up in the morning, time to go to school. Mom or dad, because I work with plenty of dads, who say, do you have your keys? Do you have your cell phone? Do you have your lunch? Do you have your wallet? Do you have your knapsack? Do you have your library book? Do you have your gym club? Let's change that. What is it that you need to take with you to go to school so that you will be prepared today? What is on your agenda today so that you know what it is you need that goes with it? Or if your child's even young, you can say, do you have gym today? Yes. What do you need for gym? But if you notice, I'm not telling my kids anything anymore, or my students. I'm asking them. And what starts to happen is not only do they start having routines that start to get solidified, which goes right to our time management. I need to make sure I have X, Y, and Z. I need to prepare that so I can walk out the door on time. But you're having them paint that mental checklist. You're not saying it anymore. They now have to. And obviously there's more you have to do to get to that point. But we want them to be not following directions.
It's fun. I got to just tell you this story. We have a lake home, and we did something similar. We told our younger daughter, okay, pack your stuff, get it all going, get it in the car. We all tried to give her the responsibility of packing her own stuff. And so we get up there for the weekend, and they hop out of the car. It's summertime, and then we realize shortly thereafter she has no shoes with her for the whole weekend. So it's like,
God bless her. So here's what I do tell parents. You're not going to go from A to Z. You're not going to go from holding your child's hand with, do you have this? Do you have this? To saying, go do it on your own. You have to make sure they understand what it is they need. You need to provide maybe visual prompts and supports. I know that as my students have gotten older, we do that even on a computer. If this is a student that goes to soccer 3 times a week, or this is a student that, goes away for weekends, let's say they're divorced and they're going back and forth, to parents. Everything they need is documented and typed and worked on together, and then put somewhere to provide them with that visual support and prompt. I never leave a child to hang out to dry on their own. We want them to be successful. But you have to provide that support and scaffolding to then be able to say to them, tell me what it is you need. Tell me what time you need to leave to get to ballet on time.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. I like this idea of scaffolding, but we're going to take a quick break here. And when we come back, I want to pick up on that and talk a little bit more about how those lists and those reminders work. So we're talking about how to teach your student to have responsibility and manage their time better. And we're with Leslie Josell, and we'll be right back.
Introducing Justic by Smead, a new line of award-winning bulletin boards, whiteboards with clear overlay and commercial signage solutions, powered by Justic surface technology. Say goodbye to pins, tape, glue, or magnets, and say hello to the most advanced bulletin board. The magic happens with only 4 AA batteries. Electrical energy flows throughout the entire surface of the board to attract a variety of materials. Simply place your materials on the surface, and they just stick. As featured on NBC's Today Show.
Our tech expert, Katie Linendahl's got it all.
This
Katie,
is
okay.
Justic. No tape, no staples, no push pins. You just take whatever you need and it sticks right
Boom.
onto the device.
Just like that.
Using
Boom.
electro-adhesion technology for AA batteries.
We got a big version here.
Yeah, we got a big version. I think this is kind of just fun
That's
for the
neat.
office,
Yeah,
right?
I love
Very
that.
cool.
For the home or office, choose from modern aluminum frames or frameless options to display anything from photos, memories, reminders, illustrations, training materials, and more. Finally, a solution that lets you stand out and be uniquely expressive. Justic by Smead, displaying today with tomorrow's technology.
We're back now, keeping you organized, talking about how to help your student learn how to take responsibility and manage their time better. And we've been talking with Leslie Josell here from Order Out of Chaos. Leslie, we got into this point of scaffolding. I want to unfold that a little, or build that up a little bit, I guess would be a better analogy.
I like that.
Let's talk about that.
So what do I mean by scaffolding?
Exactly.
I love that word. I really love scaffolding because what I think scaffolding gives you that mental picture is you're not necessarily doing, but you're providing foundation. You're providing support, right? That's why in my work, the parent portion of things are so important. So it depending on the child, it could be a million different things. For some children, it's visual support. So I'm not a believer. I don't love checklists. I like directions. I think directions move a child through a process more than just a checklist that says do this. If your child's younger, it could be even photos of them. Like if you want if your biggest thing is I want my child to be able to go out the door on their own and collect everything, showing them literally holding the knapsack, holding their wallet, holding their gym bag, holding their lunch, whatever it is, I think provides a much better scaffolding opportunity than just words on a page slapped on a memo board saying, bring, ba, 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 ba. It helps them create that mental visual picture. That's what I try to do with the students I work with. I want them always to see themselves in whatever it is they're about to do.
Okay, now I know you have the academic planners. How do you work visualization into those?
So I'm going to say this. I feel this is the number one thing when it comes to teaching time. Time is hard to hold on to. So if your student cannot see time, it's very unlikely they will be able to manage it. So what our academic planners do is it actually allows students to be able to see their available blocks of time and their unavailable blocks of time. It's set up in a grid system. It's patented, which I'm really excited about. So it's a very unique design. And it gives students not only a grid place to write down their homework, assignments and projects, but the key is the bottom part of their after school activities if they're younger, or we have a smaller version now, which gives students a full day capability of planning their time. So if your child has, 3 tests and 3 projects, but they don't know that they have chorus practice or their soccer game or going to visit grandma for the weekend, if they don't see that, they can't then plan when they're going to get something done. Okay. What works is when you write in what you have, naturally available blocks of time appear so that they can use that time to plan.
So how often do they have to work with this planner? I mean, is it a daily thing or is it?
It's both. So what we ask kids to do when you know things that are happening, when you get your soccer schedule, when you know you have ballet every Wednesday, if you know you have, certain things, you get that all onto the planner immediately. So it's a little work up front, but here's the beauty of it. I tell my kids this too, that once you get the beginning stuff in and you work with it maybe a minute a day, it will do the work for you. Because of the special layout, if you have tutoring from 3 to 4, let's say, and then like your choir concert at 7 o'clock, you'll be able to look down on Tuesday and see what available block of time you have because you've entered in the things you have already.
Where does the parent come in then, as far as, do they have to still nag the student to get it done, or what do they need to do?
I think it depends on the age. I mean, that's a loaded question. I'm going to be honest with you, John.
Yeah.
It's a huge question because I don't know that student. I don't know how old they are. I don't know what they're struggling with. If they have, remember what I said? You could have a 13-year-old that can on their own, no problem. You could have a 13-year-old that really still needs support and scaffolding from a parent. But what I want from that parent, and I'm going to bring it back again, when they're providing that support and scaffolding, is not saying, do this, do this, do this, because that's your direction follower. I want them to say, what do you think you need to be writing here? Can you tell me what you have after school? Do you even know what time you go? So I'm okay with parent involvement. I just want the right parent involvement. And we call it the waffle. The waffle syndrome?
I love waffles. Let's hear about it.
Okay, we love waffles in my house too. So I had a parent, true story, call me and say, I don't know how to help my child. My child every single day goes into the kitchen, opens the fridge freezer, and screams, Mom, where's the waffles? And the parents give two different answers. The mother goes, honey, the waffles are behind the ice cream, to the left of the freezer. So she tells him exactly where the waffles are. The father screams at the child, unfortunately, how many times are you going to ask where the bleeping waffles are? And she said, are we handling this right? And I said, in my hopefully nice way, not so much. I'm like, both your answers are not really right. The right answer is a question. Where do you think waffles live? If you have a younger kid, if you were a waffle, where would you be? Do you see what I mean? Where do you think?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so neither answer. She stood back and she said, I get it. She goes, you want them to start formulating their own answers. I said, exactly. We need them to learn how to remember to remember. And to remember it is, if you answer them, that information boomerangs right back out. Doesn't get in the brain. Ask your child, where do you think they live? Where would a waffle live? And if he really doesn't know, and they're little, is a waffle hot or cold? It's cold. Where do cold items live? So the next time when he opens the fridge, that remembering piece will hopefully be like in the head.
Right.
So
it's kind of almost like artificial intelligence. They're learning as they go along and learning to learn.
Exactly. Right. It's learning to learn. They laugh at me, my students, my own kids, everything in my house, everything I do with my students is a teaching moment. And I ask the question nonstop, how are you going to remember to remember? Remember, we talked in the previous podcast about responsibilities. So it's not enough for a parent to run out the door and turn their head and go, oh, by the way, on your way home from school, can you pick up your sister? Not enough.
Right.
Boomerang. Did that really get in there? I'm doubting no. The next question is, how are you going to remember that? And that's where I get radio silence.
Right.
From everybody, a parent too. Oh, I never asked that question. That's a really good question. How are they going to remember it?
Yeah.
Because what you want to build is that support and scaffolding. Maybe he's a gadget kid and he puts it in his phone. Maybe he sticks a big Post-it on the binder so he sees it coming and going. If he's home, maybe it's a big sign, pick up your sister. What is he going to use to remember to remember?
Right. Well, Leslie, we're just like digging into this, and I think we need to bring you back for like a second part of this podcast. Are you available to come back next time?
Of course, for you, anything.
All right. Well, we're gonna stop right here, and then we're gonna come back next time to finish this conversation on how to teach your student how to learn time management and take responsibility. And we've learned some great things here. We also want to let people know that in the show notes, which are at smead.com/podcast, you'll be able to find out how to get a hold of Leslie's planner. And I think on our next episode, too, we're going to go in a little bit more in depth on the planner and how that's used to help students learn how to deal with time management and responsibilities. So, Leslie, you'll join us next time, right?
100%.
Okay, great. Well, there you have, folks. Join us next time for part 2 of how to help your students learn to manage time and take responsibility on our next Keeping You Organized.